A very good evening and thanks for joining us on the weekly Sunday magazine program. Federal government says it has concluded the evacuation exercise of its citizens from Sudan. Now, the slogan, "Police is your friend," is a common phrase, but how friendly are the citizens towards the police? I guess is an imperative question to ask. Anyway, the IGP ordered the arrest of the son of late Fela Kuti for assault. Today, mothers again were celebrated to mark International Mother's Day. Now, what could be the causes of domestic and sexual abuse? We'll be taking a look at these issues. Of course, I am Ifoma Ojinta, and we shall be right back. Thanks for staying tuned. The federal government says it has completed evacuation of Nigerian students stranded in Sudan. Musa Baba Aliyu reports that more than 2,000 Nigerians were airlifted back home in 15 flights.
For the past 2 weeks, the federal government engaged her relevant agencies in ensuring that all Nigerians stranded in Sudan and Egypt are lifted back home.
What we promised is that nobody will be left behind.
4 airlines were engaged in the evacuation exercise and most rendered free services. 1,116 Nigerians, mostly students, women and children, were first airlifted home from Aswan International Airport, Egypt, while more than 1,400 were evacuated from Port Sudan.
We have come back with a lot, with at least maybe 80–90% of Nigerians who were stranded there, and we have not recorded any fatality, any death. It's a good feat for Nigeria, and I congratulate President Muhammadu Buhari on this and all his team.
The chairman of the Federal Government Committee on Evacuation and Permanent Secretary, Minister of Humanitarian and Disaster Management and Social Development, Dr. Sani Gorzo, said during the exercise, no Nigerian life has been lost.
Our committee will not stop its work until we have liaised with the Ministry of Education to help you find alternatives as the need may be. So don't have any fears. We will be with you even before, even after this stressful period, to make sure that you are adequately rehabilitated and brought back to continue your studies where necessary.
Out of danger, but they're already in their territory, they're home. So if they need additional medical assistance, they will get it. But on arrival, they have that medical assessment being done by the Port Health.
Attention will now be diverted to other Nigerians that left Sudan for Saudi Arabia, Ethiopia and Chad.
The Police Service Commission, in a statement, commends the Inspector General of Police, Usman Alkali Baba, for his prompt action in ordering the arrest and prosecution of Shehu Kuti, who obviously has diminished the sanctity of the symbol of authority of the Nigerian nation. The Commission demands that the culprit must be arraigned immediately and that the matter is followed to its logical conclusion to restore public confidence in the Nigerian police as the lead agency in internal security and in its ability to maintain law and order. The Police Service Commission Chairman Solomon Arase said no matter the offense the police officer committed, nobody, including Shehu Kuti, has the right to assault a policeman in uniform and on official duty. And now for messages from the pulpits. A home built on God can never be shaken. Pastor Benson of Revival House of Nations Ministry, who gave the sermon in today's Sunday service, urged women to ensure they keep their families together in love. The cleric spoke during a sermon he delivered to mark this year's Mother's Day. Asabe Williams reports he enjoined mothers to strive to be role models by exhibiting positive virtues.
Taking his text from Proverbs chapter 1 verse 5, Pastor Benson Ogbe at the Revival Church Wuye admonished men to honor their wives, as he stressed that he who finds a wife findeth a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord. He went further to say the biggest mistake a man will make is to compare his wife to another.
I say this to say to men here, whatever you call your wife, that is what she will be to you. If you call her useless, she'll be useless. If you call her a failure, she'll be a failure. If you call her a good woman, she'll be a good woman. Whatever you call them. The Bible said, he that findeth a wife, findeth a good thing.
Women do so much, praying for their husbands, supporting their husbands, just being the helpmate and becoming all they themselves were meant to be. And so on a day like this, we take time out to just say thank you.
I love her. She's kind. I thank her for taking care of me. She's so amazing. And she helps me do a lot of things.
At the RCCG Sanctuary of Praise, Lokogoma, it was an atmosphere of praise and thanksgiving for the lives of mothers, as the guest preacher, Pastor Adebusola Jiboyi, charged women to continue to remain submissive to their husbands.
We want to prepare our women, both the young one and even the unmarried, to be prepared for the storms of life, so that they don't get weary or they don't get overcome by storm. They know and they have the wisdom and the backing of God to overcome everything that may come their way, even in their marriages.
At the Cherubim and Seraphim Movement Church Durumi, prayers were said for mothers, as Senior Pastor Apostle Akin Aletan says mothers make our world beautiful.
The role of mothers is very special, and so the honor you have to give to mothers is special.
She puts our place in that same place that God has placed us in creation, as helpmates, supporters to the men, and to also help the men to fulfill the commission that God has given to them.
Drama presentation and song rendition were presented in honor of our mothers.
And still celebrating mothers, they are often described in so many awesome ways. Let's share one of such description with you. A mother is the most beautiful creation of God, whose heart is filled with unconditional love. It is in recognition of this that the international community set aside the second Sunday of May to celebrate mothers. Mother's Day is a celebration honoring the mother of the family or individual, motherhood, maternal bond, as well as the influence of mothers in the society. Though Mother's Day is celebrated on different days in many parts of the world as Modern Sunday or Women's Day, most commonly in the month of March, there is a universal appreciation of mothers everywhere. Many believe that mothers truly deserve the world every day, as they play multiple roles providing care and support to those they love, even under difficult circumstances.
The fathers, the home, have to appreciate the sacrifices of women.
Everybody is an offspring of a woman. You can't come into the world except through a woman. So it's such a special occasion. We celebrate our mothers, our wives, our sisters.
Mother is supreme. Mother is gold to me. I feel each time I remember my mom, I also remember every other woman around in the world.
The history of Mother's Day, celebrated on the second Sunday in May annually, had its beginning in the year 1858 with Anne Marie Reeves in the United States. She was working to heal the nation after the Civil War. She created the Mothers Friendship Club, teaching women how to care for their children and wounded soldiers. The club was instrumental in facilitating the reconciliation process between the warring parties. It is in her honor that the second Sunday was set aside in 1914 as Mother's Day.
I want to thank our mothers for sustaining our families, sustaining our homes. And I want to just on this day celebrate them. And I pray that the Lord God Almighty will bless them for all their sacrifices.
And remember today that the love of a mother is the purest form of joy that you will ever experience. Ifoma Ojinta, NTA News. Now, women and girls have been described as vulnerable. This brings us to the issue of domestic violence, which has become a source of concern in Nigeria, even globally, though most cultures preach endurance. But how much can one endure in the face of threatening challenges in marital union? Our correspondent, Rosemary Motalet-Bilal, seeks to find out from stakeholders the causes and how it has affected humanity, the implications, as well as the remedy to human existence.
Domestic violence in Nigeria comes in different forms, physical and emotional. The most common is incident of battery, where the husband beats off the wife and turns her into a punching bag. Analysts said, owing to the fact that most women are ignorant of the provision of the law, which gives a woman protection rights, domestic violence is increasing by day.
Any man that you see that is beating the wife is no longer a man, is a woman. What they know man is about is providing for your family, guiding, being a shelter to your family. That is what mean by man, being a man, not beating a woman.
People who grew up to be ought to be taught what should be. So from the education system, we should have this value system about what a husband should be, what a wife should be, who a wife should be, who a husband should be. It should not just be left to the religious bodies, the pastors, the imam, to teach the people what the value system of a family.
In all of this, how has domestic violence affected the life of victims and their children?
He would beat me at any slightest provocation. Probably I complain he's not been home, or how is he spending the money, why are we not where we ought to be, these are not the plans we had. Anything just triggers him.
And how did some of these victims overcome it or even gain freedom?
The first strength you have over whosoever abuses you or has molested you is talk to somebody. The initial thing is they want to kill your voice. If I had been able to open up from way back, it wouldn't have lingered.
What does the Nigerian Constitution say about domestic violence? Any legal implications? Does person speak whether there are punishments or not in Nigeria for hurting a partner?
It's unfortunate that specifically some of these laws did not specifically come out to say domestic violence. But generally all of them prescribes punishment for assuming the domestic violence entails assault or battery or killing, murder or manslaughter. All these laws are mentioning. Take care about those things.
It is scriptural that a woman should be protected, as they have remained the most affected group, but the clergy also betrays the need for mutual respect among couples to avoid physical and emotional affliction of pain and what are expected of believers, both of the Muslims and Christian faith, in handling disputes that might escalate to violence.
A couple, you must tolerate one another, and that's where Jesus comes in love. Because he said, love beareth all things. It keepeth no record of evil. When you are deep in the Lord, the man is deep, the one is deep. It will be very difficult for them to raise hand on themselves.
The next thing to advise our couple is to maintain their lane. Let me use this word. To maintain their lane. Anytime or anywhere you see an accident between the two cars, definitely one of them has left its lane or it left its road.
Meanwhile, efforts to speak to police to know the statistic of domestic violence in the FCT prove abortive.
Thank you very much, Rosemary. Now, domestic violence is just one aspect of violence. There is also the issue of sexual and gender-based violence, which is a trend Nigerians abhor. As a result, leaves a mark of physical, psychological, mental, and emotional torture on the victims. Ifeanyi Ezumba takes a look at the sad occurrence.
The impact of sexual and gender-based violence could be devastating for survivors and their families. Physical injuries, unwanted pregnancies, fistula, sexual transmitted infections, and death are among the most likely consequences of such violence. Survivors often face social stigma that increases their vulnerability to further abuse and exploitation. Gender nurturing in the society. How does it affect gender-based violence?
When a child is born, their tabula rasa, that is their mind, is empty. It's what you plant into it. So right from home, at that tender age, they should, for instance, in some home, some people say, my son, don't come and pound the dam. Let only the lady. You have already started demarcating what is belonging to a man and what is belonging to, or you, when the two children come from school, both of them went to school, they came back, you ask the boy to go and play football or go and lie down, or the girl should come and cook. It's wrong.
As long as a child can be able to say, mommy, daddy, can call mommy and daddy, we should be able to train them that nobody should touch your body. If they touch your body, this is the outcome. Because the rate of crime now is very, even to the extent that a 3-month-old girl, you see some people molesting them.
While the society is looking at how to curb violence against women, there is also the need not to overlook boys, men, and sexual minority groups.
Like I have a son. I say, you are a man, lift it up, you can do it. You are a man. And that word alone suppresses that feeling and that, that voice of theirs. A human being is a human being, no matter what the person, no matter the gender, a male or a female. Boys feel pains, girls feel pains. Boys can lift up a heavy thing. A girl can also lift up the same thing because we've all got the same bone, the same strength. You can help a lady be a girl and be a strong girl. Don't tell her you are a lady, don't touch it. You are a girl, don't touch it. You are weak, don't worry. Let boy come pick it up. If that is what you are saying, it makes the girls look at themselves as weaker.
We should be treated, both men and women should be treated equally.
Due to social cultural norms linked to masculinity, there is persistent gender stigma associated with sexual and gender-based violence for male victims.
The activism is very, very important for the students to know where they belong, what they should do and what they shouldn't do, and what their rights are.
They should teach the male and the female how to speak out. We should be able to speak out when something is wrong or something is about to happen to us.
Females are going through a lot right now. Some females are married at young age, while male they can choose when they want to marry.
16 Days Activism Campaign is an opportunity to show commitment to ending gender inequality, child marriage, and the belief that every human being has a right to adequate food and a life without violence. It is an annual campaign that begins on 25th November and runs through International Human Rights Day. This year, the United Nations observes the 16 Days Activism under the theme, Unite Activism to End Violence Against Women and Girls.
Ask me what I want to be. I want to be a Lincoln. I want to be an historian whose mind must be clear, whose goal must be sharp, whose destination must be focused upon for developmental program. And once the foundation is right, Nigeria recovery is on your doorstep.
Irin tashin hankalin da ke biyo bayan yaƙi babu ruwansa da ko kai wane ne, ƙabilarka ko kuma addininka. Idan yaƙi ya zo, ritsawa ike yi da kowa mai kuɗi ko talaka. An lalata komai, babu sauran abin moriya. Idan aka yi yaƙin basasa a ƙasa, babu wanda ike yin nasara domin kowa sai ya yi asara. A zub da jinin waɗanda ba su ji ba su gani ba, a jefa su cikin masifa babu gaira babu dalili, duk a sakamakon yaƙi. mu baiwa sojojinmu haɗin kai da goyon baya domin ganin sun yi nasara akan aikinsu. Kada mu sake mu yi wani abin da zai ƙara musu matsala akan wacce suke fuskanta. Babu abin da ya fi tattaunawa daɗi. Kada mu sake mu yi abin da zai rarraba kawunanmu. Za mu fi ƙarfi da daraja a dunkule. Nigeria ƙasa ɗaya ce, al'umma ɗaya. Kasancewar mu al'umma ɗaya shine ƙarfi da daraja a gare mu, kuma shine abin sha'awa a duniya.
Thanks for staying tuned. It's now time to bring you entertainment news.
On entertainment news this week, Principal Photography has kicked off on Hijack 93, The Madmen and the Aircraft. Charles Openeke of Play Network Studios shared the exciting news online along with some behind-the-scenes photos from the set. As implied, the movie follows the story of the teenagers that hijacked a Nigerian Airways plane headed to Abuja and diverted it to Niger in 1993. Post the failed June 12th elections. Also in movies set in modern-day Lagos, the upcoming rom-com features Bimbo Ademoye and Timini Ebuson in leading roles. The romantic family drama follows Adila and Adina, two young and ambitious individuals who fall deeply in love after meeting at the Sterling Bank graduate trainee camp. Big Love premieres in cinemas nationwide on June 28, 2023. In music, after dropping the Amapiano record Maitama in 2022, Tenny returns with a new record, No Days Off, on which she explores a new sound. The song is her first release of 2023 after appearing in a collaboration with Landlady Enterprise. The highly anticipated single sparked interest with its teaser, and in the foreign scene, Robin Rihanna Fenty, the iconic singer, has finally unveiled the name of her son, which was revealed before his first birthday on May 13th. The multiple award-winning artist and her partner Asap Rocky have named their first child Azadeh Atlanta Myers. It is speculated that the name is a tribute of the producer and rapper Raz from the American hip-hop group Wu-Tang Clan. Born Obinna Nwafor, famous Nollywood actor and film director Saint Obi has died at the age of 57 after a prolonged illness. Saint Obi burst onto the acting scene in 1996 after featuring in a TV commercial for Peugeot on NTA. He went on to play leading roles in several blockbuster movies, including Candlelight and Goodbye Tomorrow. He appeared in more than 100 movies, including Sakobi, Festival of Fire, State of Emergency, and other popular films that defined his brilliant acting career.
And next is Weekly News Wrap.
Hello, welcome to another edition of Weekly News Wrap. And as usual, we will be bringing you stories that made headlines in the course of the past week. In the past week, the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Mohammed Musa Bello, challenged all revenue-generating secretariats, departments and agencies to harmonize the process of tax collection to avoid multiplication of tax payable by the residents and corporate entities of the FCT. The minister noted that the reformed tax administration will not only end multiple taxation, but will encourage the establishment and growth of small and medium enterprises in the nation's capital. Again last week, the minister of the FCT, Mohammed Musa Bello, appealed to relevant stakeholders in the built industry to evolve measures that will address grey areas impeding the full implementation of the city master plan. The minister made the plea at the retreat organized for members of board and the executive management committee of the FCDA in Abuja. And traders in Garki Market International were full of joy last week Wednesday after officials of the FCTA reopened their business environment after being sealed up some days ago over poor sanitary condition of the market. Still reviewing the past week, the FCT Emergency Management Agency barricaded some roads as temporary measures to mitigate the effects of flood that could occur with heavy downpours in the FCT. Now, mitigating climate change through innovations, speakers said, is the way to go, and that if all things go as planned, the charcoal briquette will be one laudable initiative of the University of Abuja as a source for alternative energy. This was at the 3-day capacity training for indigents of the FCT. Now, it's no news that in the past, the FCTA has continued to clamp down on contravening structures, all in a bid to create sanity and maintain the master plan. Some recalcitrant residents are, however, hell-bent on violating the FCT extant laws and regulations, as they have begun erecting makeshift structures along Gudu-Lokogoma Road in the FCT. Our correspondent beamed his searchlight on the ever-busy road and the infractions associated with it. Now, still looking at events in the past week, owners of illegal structures who were hiding under the umbrella of indigenous houses will not be spared in the ongoing demolition of contravening structures. This is coming on the heels of the FCTA renewed resolve to deal with perpetrators of this ugly development. Finally, members of the Association of Shop Owners in Area 7 Shopping Complex expressed displeasure over what they described as the planned demolition of their business environment under the guise of alleged remodeling of city managers. That's our package for you this week, but don't go away. Sunday Magazine continues shortly.
And Sports Brief is next.
The Nigerian Football Federation has terminated the contract of the Golden Eaglets coach, Nduka Ugbade. This follows the contract domiciled with the federation, which was performance-based. A reliable source from the federation who pleaded anonymity said Ugbade's contract is performance-based. Had he failed to qualify for the Under-17 AFCON at the West African Football Union WAFUB competition in Cape Coast, Ghana, the contract would have been automatically ended, but the contract continued because he led the team to lift the trophy and qualified for the CAF Under-17 AFCON in Algeria. Meanwhile, the management of Nationwide League One has banned the players and officials of ABU Workers FC and Ambassadors FC over match fixing. This follows a clear evidence of match fixing after the league body concluded their investigation. In the said match, ABU Workers humiliated their opponents, Ambassador FC 8-0, which raised a red flag, forcing LLO to go into investigation. In order to preserve the integrity of the beautiful game of football in Nigeria, the NLO took the following decisions. The result of the match was cancelled. All players in both teams list. All officials of both teams have been banned for 2 years. Each team was fined 500,000. The decision, according to the NLO, was in line with the guiding rules and regulation of Nationwide League One. Also, Nigerian youngster Give Emmanuel Orban continues to make headlines in the Belgian Jupiler League on Saturday as Gent trashed Kaku Brugge 4-0. After a scoreless half hour, Kuipers opened the scoring in the 41st minute for the visitors, who have been in control of the game. Orban netted his first goal in the game in the 51st minute before scoring 2 quick-fire goals in the 64th and 67th minutes to ensure a comprehensive 0-4 for Gent. With Sports Brief, Wayne Dogo, NTA News.
And that's the magazine show for tonight. We thank you for watching. Good night.